This week, we're catching up on all the latest games that we've been playing. Join us for our first impressions of Dispatch, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Keeper, and much more on this week's HGO Podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO Podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I'm glad one of us is, bud, because my goodness, I feel like this week has lasted like a lifetime. I swear, it's been not a great week. Well, it has and it hasn't. I feel like fate is coming knocking on my door because I turn like 28 next week, and that I feel like 28, Hunter. I feel like that you cannot avoid calling that your late 20s. I feel like that is the number where you cannot, 27, you can go mid to late, like,
I don't know. I feel like 27 is probably where I would start saying that. Like 25 is literally the middle. 26 is, I would say 24, 25, and 26 are like the mid wiggle room there.
No, yeah, but you see, 27 is mid to late to me, where it's like, it's the filler year, it's the void year, whereas like 28 is unfortunately definitely the late 20s, which I'm not prepared for in the slightest. But hey, 20, and this is like the problem of doing this podcast is like we've been doing this for that long now. This is the 6th season, where it's like, I was like 23, 22 when we started this, bro. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Turned 23 while the first season was going.
It may not look like it on video form, ladies and gentlemen, but 5 years, 6 years have passed, so we are getting older. And that's not a good thing. I'm not happy about it, Hunter. I'm not happy about it at all. The only good news is that time has we've reevaluated time. You're back now in my plane of existence, so we no longer have that weird little time gap. That's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And also, I have lost enough weight that I can now wear my Kojima Productions t-shirt that I bought about 3 months ago that wasn't fitting very well because I was fat and sad. And now I'm not as fat. I'm pretty happy because now I get to wear my Oshi on my arm. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the HGO Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about new games this week, okay? We don't have to have any smooth segues here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a bunch of games that we've been playing recently that we're gonna dive into this week, if that sounds fun to you. I think it'll be interesting. Plenty of games. We're going to be talking about Dispatch. We're going to be talking about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. We're going to be talking about Keeper. We're going to be talking about The Midnight Walk. And we're also going to be talking about Shinobi, Art of Vengeance. So if any of those sound like they're up your alley, come on in, settle down, and enjoy this quarter to midlife crisis that we're about to experience, Hunter. You're also getting there, dude. You're also getting there. You might just be a week after me, but
I'll be there a week after you. Just same club.
Yeah, biding my time. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Always good fun, ladies and gentlemen. I find that very funny to me that our birthdays are literally just like a week apart. It's very weird how that kind of worked out. I don't know why. I listen to another podcast quite a bit, not to do with gaming whatsoever, just a big fan of the channel abroad in Japan, so I like listening to his podcast quite a bit. And him and his co-host Pete are also like a week apart. So I'm like, what is it about podcast hosts and having their birthdays within a week of each other? Is that just something that has to happen? Is that why Kyle's disappeared because he feels like he's not a part of the fan club? He's not a part of the November club.
Not part of the November club.
Yeah, who knows, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, let's get into the spiel so we can talk about video games instead of whatever this random conversation is. But yeah, we're here usually at Mondays, 5 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services everywhere and at youtube.com/hotgamersonly. Bit of housekeeping for you. As always, we've had a plenty of reviews go up recently on the website. You can go and check out reviews for Silent Hill F, for Yuka Replayly. What else have you done, Hunter? I feel like there's one in the middle that I've completely forgotten about.
Hades 2.
That's the one, that little gem of a video game. So we have got plenty of reviews. You can go check them out. Cal's also got an article up on the website right now if you want to. It's all about video game moments, and specifically Final Fantasy video game moments. What is Kyle's favorite Final Fantasy moments? You can go check those out on the website, hotgamersonly.com. And hey, if you do like what you see, let us know. Cal's been doing great with the articles. I don't know if he has access to the analytics, but they do rather well. Quite a lot of the traffic
Oh,
on our
nice.
website do come from those articles. So if you do enjoy them, let us know. Maybe we should do more. Maybe I should start writing prose about how I don't play enough video games. Let's be honest, I don't. I already say too much on this podcast. I feel like people hear enough about me. Hey, here are my top 10 games of the year when we always do 6 every time, and I'll be like 17 games because why not? Hey, we'll see. It's coming to that season, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming to that season. Hunter, we've got a lot of games to cover.
We sure do.
And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the way the docket on this podcast is we're going to talk about the 2 big games that we have to talk about right now, really. Hyrule Warriors has come out this week, and Dispatch is an ongoing game. So we're going to talk about those first. Then we're going to have Kyle talking about the Midnight Walk and Shinobi. And then we're going to round it. Oh, did I say Kyle?
You did.
No! Oh my god, I am so sorry. If it makes you feel any better, Hunter, I called one of my IRL friends Hunter like last week, and I got absolutely lambasted for it. So if it makes you feel any better,
oh my god,
I think I've played too many video games recently, and the part of my brain that stores everybody's names in terms of game characters and real people is starting. I've reached the cap, dude. So we're cycling through them. Multiple people are everyone now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hunter will be talking about Midnight Walk and Shinobi Art of Vengeance, and then I'll wrap it up with some Keeper. Or maybe Kyle will. Maybe surprise. Hunter's going to rip off the mask and it's actually Kyle.
Yeah, just... Oh, man.
You can't trick me. It's been a lot. I did say it'd been a long week.
Mission Impossible.
I did say it had been a long week, okay? That's all I'm saying, okay? Please. I promise that I'll try and not call you Kyle for at least the next half an hour. Anyway. What do you want to start with, Hunter? I'll leave it with you. Did you want to start with Dispatch, or did you want to start with...
Let's go with Dispatch.
That's a great answer because it's at the top of the docket, so I don't have to change anything. You see me? We know how to do this podcast after 6 years. It's going great. Dispatch. It kind of came out of nowhere. Not gonna lie. For those of you who don't know what Dispatch is a new game from a new studio called Ad Hoc, who are essentially a bunch of refugees, really, from the old Telltale. They kind of, they are people who obviously, when Telltale exploded, they went off and they made Ad Hoc Studio, which for a long time was partnered with Telltale to make this little game, Hunter. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah.
We're still
gonna have to start putting up missing persons posters for that game, Ethan.
I think it's a lost cause. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's a bit of a lost cause. So they were working with Telltale to make The Wolf Among Us 2. They kind of decided, hey, maybe we should just be doing our own thing. They were trying to pitch this TV show that they were writing called Dispatch, and they're like, this might actually work as a video game. So they kind of went off on their own. They've made this video game. And have partnered with Critical Role. Don't know if you've heard of them. They're this weird little indie group of people. They play D&D in their basement. It's pretty weird, but
oh yeah, I hear that Matt Mercer guy is part of it.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. He's playing Ganon. It's pretty crazy. I think that's the only role he's ever played.
Ever.
But yeah, Cal's not here to praise Critical Role, and I love everybody that is a part of Critical Role, but I'm just not a D&D guy, so I just have never partaken. I can't speak. Partook, thank you. I did. I went to partoken. That was not a very good English. But yeah, I never partook in any Critical Role shenanigans, but they kind of partnered with them to make this video game, which is essentially, Hunter, it feels very much like a spiritual successor to the Telltale formula. It is from the writers of The Wolf Among Us 1 and Tales from the Borderlands, which are, in my opinion, the 2 best Telltale games in terms of writing. So, my expectations were pretty high for this game. I'm not gonna lie. I saw people were praising it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get in on it, Hunter. It's 2 episodes a week for 4 weeks. I'm gonna get in on it. See what's the worst that could happen. And it's a very good video game. I'm very happy to report I've played 6 of the 8 episodes. As of this podcast going out, the final 2 episodes have not released. I don't think this is a Life is Strange double exposure situation. I do not think that I have played a good piece of video game and it's going to go to crap at the end. I think I'm pretty safe in where the game is at right now to give a pretty full verdict on it. But the 6 episodes I've played are excellent. The only thing I'm a bit iffy on is the whole dispatch mechanic. So
The gameplay part.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it, right? What do you want to know about first, Hunter? What do you want to know about? Do you want to know the premise? What the things
Yeah,
about?
let's cover the general premise first.
Right. So, Dispatch is basically it takes place in a version of the planet where there are superheroes absolutely everywhere, right? You know, there are dozens and dozens of superheroes, and you play as a guy called Robert Robinson, you know, which is, I think, you know, a fun play on, you know, the kind of Peter Parker's, the alliteration in the superhero names.
Yeah.
So yeah, you play as Robert Robinson, who is a superhero known as Mecha Man, who is basically the Iron Man equivalent. A picture Iron Man, except he's broke, and if his suit gets knackered, he is absolutely out of luck. Like, it's just over. You know, he can't afford to repair it. He's the 3rd generation of Mecha Man. He's one of the OG superheroes of Los Angeles. And you basically start this game in the middle of Robert trying to find the supervillain Shroud, who killed his father, who killed the last version of Mecha Man. He's trying to, you know, figure out what's happening with Shroud. And basically, he gets the crap beaten out of him, and his suit is absolutely obliterated, absolutely destroyed. And he's basically forced to retire. And the city of, you know, the city basically sees him as a failure because, you know, all the past Mecha Men actually died during it. So it's like, you didn't even die. You got out of it, and you know, your suit's absolutely busted. You're just a regular guy. You're useless to us because you don't have superpowers. And that's kind of how the world.
It's like a samurai losing a duel but not dying.
Yeah, basically, it kind of is. It's like your honor's gone. What are you gonna do about it? And he's just kind of like, I guess this is it. I guess my superhero days are over. And then that is until another superhero by the name of Blonde Blazer. She comes to Robert with a proposition that the company that she works for, the SDN, or the Superhero Dispatch Network, they'll repair his suit and they'll try to bring Mecha Man back. And all Robert has to do is join their company and become the dispatcher for a Z-team group of heroes who are actually delinquents and supervillains who they are trying to reform into heroes. And basically, you know, can you bring this ragtag team to greatness? And if you can, hey, we'll help you become Mecha Man again. So you end up as the dispatcher for the Z-team, who are full of a bunch of essentially Borderlands characters, you know, very sweary, very kind of, you know, ragtag group of people who hate your guts and do not want to be there. And yeah, that's the main premise, is trying to rebuild Mecha Man and trying to get this ragtag group of miscreants and ne'er-do-wells into the superhero limelight. And it's a really good premise. It's like, as soon as, you know, it's such a good premise of having these dispatchers, you know, having this company that, you know, is like an insurance firm, but with superheroes, where if you pay for insurance, we can dispatch superheroes to you to fix your problems, to get the cat out of the tree, to escort a member, you know, be a security detail for a VIP. And Robert's there to try and get this bunch of miscreants to actually become heroes, because they all don't have faith in themselves, and if they are honest, they all feel like they're reluctant to be there. And you know, these characters, the performances are really good. The performances are really strong in this game. Aaron Paul plays the main lead in this, and I think the best compliment I can give to him is there seems to be two kinds of celebrity um performances in video games, and they tend to either lean on they're either incredibly great because they actually respect the medium that they're in and are actually trying their hardest to um come to gaming and come to, these kinds of performances, you know, honestly. I
Like
Keanu Reeves in
some
Cyberpunk is a great example
yeah.
of this, of someone who's just
J.K.
extremely
Simmons
passionate.
in anything he's ever in,
Yeah,
great.
100%. Um, and he's just fantastic in this. He genuinely is fantastic in this. You've got plenty of other, all-star talent from the voice acting sphere. You've got Laura Bailey playing one of the main leads, called Invisigal, um, who is the main delinquent, I guess. She's a 23-year-old kind of, literally just like basically just a deviant who's grown up on the streets and is basically her powers is literally turning invisible. So how can a superhero have that kind of power? It's very much a villain in her eyes. It's very much a villainous power. You can sneak into places, you can steal, you can stalk people. It's not
Yeah,
particularly a
there is a lot of inherently nefarious things you could do with invisibility.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, you've got Laura Bailey, you've got Travis Willingham is playing Phenomenon, who is basically this universe's Superman, who is an alien who has come to this world, who very much doesn't understand the world, but is extremely powerful and extremely tall. So he's kind of the face of the SDN. Um, You've got, big performances like Matt Mercer plays the main villain in Shroud. You've got big names from Critical Role who are playing main characters in this game. You've also got cameos from others. I've heard a little bit of Ashley Johnson in here. I've heard a little bit of Melissa in here. You've got little bits and pieces of most of them in here. You've also got a bunch of new people, and you've also got a bunch of creators and kind of YouTubers. Alana Pierce is in this. Charlie Moist Critical is in this. Sean Jacksepticeye is in this. And I think the biggest compliment I can
Nice.
give to all of them is if you didn't know them, you wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh, these are clearly people they've brought
Lesser
in,"
than.
because yeah.
Yeah.
Even Charlie Moist Critical, who has a very noticeable voice, very monotone, very I wouldn't expect anything from him, if I'm honest, and I'm a bit critical. I wouldn't expect anything from him. He actually does a really good job here, where there's a choice pretty early on in the game where you have to choose a member of the team to kick out, and he's one of the options. And I was like, I'm keeping you. You're really funny. Your lines are very good. I'm gonna keep you around. The performances are great. I'm having a blast with it. I think the world is a world that you want to kind of be in. It's very much it's a superhero story that's about the characters. It's not really about the powers. It's not really about any of that. It very much is just about the people behind the mask, and you know, it's a very human story, and I like it quite a lot. It has a lot of telltale tropes. You have your romance options. You have, your choices that, I'll give it to them. There are choices in this game that do change change parts of the story, not in a huge way, but like I say, you choose to kick somebody out at one point, and spoiler alert, that isn't something where half an hour later they come back. That person is out of the story. So, that's just
Oof.
so yeah, they just kind of disappear. There are very much choices like that, and it feels like a TV show. Every episode is about 45 minutes to an hour. At first, the first episode starts with this big fight scene where there's a load of quick time and events, and I'm like, oh god, are we really doing this? And that's the only section of the game that had that. So I'm like, what a very weird
It was
kind
like the
of
last
choice.
episode of one of their seasons of Batman back in the day, where I feel like the first half hour of whichever one it was like quick time events while the engine barely held it together.
And this engine does hold itself in pretty well. The art style is impeccable. I really like it. Just it's very funny. It's a very funny game. It reminds me a lot of Tales from the Borderlands, and what I mean by that is it has that Borderlands-ish humor, but if it was written well, which is what Tales from the Borderlands essentially was, where, yes, is there a load of toilet humor and very inappropriate jokes? Yes, but they're written well, so you do not care. There's a really, really funny character called Flambe, who is this extremely egotistical, very narcissistic, just asshole. He's not a nice guy. He is terrible. He has a history with Robert. Robert was kind of the hero that took him down a peg. So you've got that happening, and there's a point where they're in a bar and there's karaoke, and you've just got Flambe in the background singing a cover of a pretty well-known song from the from the 2000s, where he is just slagging Robert off the whole time, and it's incredibly funny that I'm just sitting there going, they play it again during the credits of like episode 5, and I just sat there listening to it. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, I'm just sitting here constantly being impressed by the writing, because in a lot of these games the writing isn't very good. So to sit
Which
here,
is hysterical sometimes, because like you'd hope that would be the one thing that is good
sit here and
in a
have
game.
extremely, quiet moments, very emotional moments, and go, oh, this is really strong. The romance is, the way this game works is I've been playing through all the choices while I have, if it's 2 episodes, I'll go and see what the other choices are. And it's like both romances are written really well. The really heartfelt moments really do hit. The really funny moments also really hit. There's nothing worse than playing one of these video games where they're trying to be funny and they miss 90% of the time.
Oh yeah.
This game doesn't. This game is got a pretty good like batting average. I'd say for me, it's probably in like the 70-75%, which, if you're really into this humor, could be a 90-95, where there's so many jokes where it is extremely funny. You've got characters who are just very fun to be around, and it's it's a very endearing game watching this group of ragtag miscreants try and figure out how to become superheroes, and you end up liking a lot of them. Like I say, you have got Sonar, who is this half bat half man who randomly turns into more bat every time you use him. You've got a Clayface kind of guy called Gollum, who is very, very clumsy and isn't allowed into places. Is very kind of. At one point, there's a mission in the game where if you send him, he can adopt a baby kaiju monster because there's a kaiju attacking the city. And if you send Golem there, he just adopts the kaiju, and he's like, "I'm
funny.
a dad now," and he just takes him. You've got a lot of funny characters, and it's really good. The only thing I'm not 100% on, I think the dispatch mechanic is very basic. It kind of is just a menu where a mission comes up, and you just select who you want based on their stats, and then it'll be based on your stats hit 60% of what the goal is. So then you've got a 60% chance of succeeding it. If you succeed it, they get XP. If you don't, you don't. You can increase everyone's stats. There's a bit of metagaming there. The big difference with this game compared to other Telltale games is the dispatch is the only gameplay. And what I mean by that is when you're not in the dispatch screen, when you're not on the computer doing dispatch stuff, that you're basically watching cutscenes. You're watching cutscenes. There'll be choices in the cutscenes like like a normal Telltale game. There might be the occasional quick time event, but there's none of the walk around this area and look for clues.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It is just the dispatch mechanic. Which,
honestly, as far as like for Telltale specifically, I'm okay with them kind of cutting that out, because like previously with Telltale's games, I was never as into walking around and looking at stuff as I was in Life is Strange or something.
yeah, because there wasn't really a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And I think this game is a lot better. I think the beauty of this game is, as it is 8 episodes, you have got a 45-minute episode. You can play through all of it. You don't really feel, you can play every single bit in a whole bite. You could play this over 8 days. If you just wanted to play for 45 minutes, you can play it 2 episodes a night. You could binge it if you wanted to, but you don't feel like you're missing anything from not having those sections, because it just feels like, oh, this is, most episodes have 1 or 2 dispatch sections in a game, like in the episode. So you'll do your dispatch bit, you'll get that sorted, and you'll go, oh, okay, now I'm into the the meat of the story. And the game doesn't tend to pull you out of those story beats to make you do a mini game or make you explore. It flows pretty naturally, and I think it works. It does work. It's not the most intense gameplay loop. It's not the most interesting gameplay loop. I'm not sitting there slighting a hero trying to figure it out, and then if I get it completely wrong, I'm not sitting there going, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Get them next time.
There's not really a failure state, really. um but it's
I,
you're mainly listening
yeah,
to the dialogue because you're hearing them on their missions, so they're talking about what's happening, or they're having conversations there, depending on who you put in. You can put two people together, and if they're really pally, then you'll get different dialogue, and they'll synergize, and they'll do a better job. There's little quirks like that that are rather fun, but I'm not sitting there going, oh, I can't wait for the next dispatch section. I'm just mainly going, oh, I can't wait for
yeah.
the story to progress.
Yeah, yeah, and with something like that, I feel like I'd rather it be on the simpler scale than something more complicated that takes longer and kind of gets in the way.
Yeah,
As like I
100%.
remember playing like 13 Sentinels or something where the gameplay just was boring.
Yeah, yeah. And it just
And that
drags.
was, it took a long time to get through.
Yeah, 100%. Um, but yeah, I think the only criticism I have about this game is I think that, if you're like me and you really enjoy these games and you don't, $30, I don't think that's a unreasonable price for this video game. I really don't. I think if some of you sit there and go, really, $30 for an 8-hour video game, you might, shrug or think, oh, and I'm not even playing it. I'm like, maybe you might want to wait for a sale, but I think the writing is that good and the story is that great that I think it's worth the price of entry personally, unless episodes 7 and 8 absolutely drop the ball, but I doubt that they will. Um,
And even if they do, it's still a win. It's still a percentage that wins over Life is Strange's.
yeah, like, yeah, double exposure especially, but it definitely is batting higher than that. But yeah, I think it's pretty great. I think you guys should definitely check it out if you haven't and it's up your alley, especially, once this Wednesday the full game is done, you can play all 8 episodes if you want to. I think it's a great time to hop in. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll have a good time. And I don't know, man, this premise and this cast and what's happening, it's screaming for a season 2. This game feels like it could be something where they could do another season of this and I'd more than happily, you know, play it. It's a universe that I would like them to carry on exploring. I know that they're apparently
Yeah.
doing a Critical Role game set in Exandria or whatever after this, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I couldn't care if they do make that. Probably not gonna play it, not because I don't like the team, but because high fantasy and all that doesn't really do it for me. But if they're willing to if they do want to make more dispatch, which with how successful this has been, 1 million copies already sold of this kind of game, I have a feeling that they probably will maybe make another one of these at some point.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty possible because the full thing isn't even out yet, and they're already at 1 million.
100%. From this size team, from this kind of studio, I think it's really impressive, and I think they're just doing really good work. It's a really good little game. I'm um very happy about it. If you haven't played it, pick it up if it's up your alley. And hey, keep it on your radar. Maybe wishlist it. See if you're waiting for a sale, you want it to be slightly cheaper. It's definitely something to pick up at some point. You know, I'll let you. You might not have to be right now, but you should probably pick it up at some point in the future. Or maybe it'll be a Game Pass game or a PS Plus game at some point. I think it can only be a PS Plus game because it's not on Xbox at the moment, is it? It's only on PlayStation and
Yeah,
PC, which I
is
think
it
is
not?
bizarre. Yeah, it's only on PlayStation and PC at the moment, which I think is very bizarre.
Weird.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this game could get a Switch port. You could do a Switch 2 port of this game.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like it could happen
I feel like it'd be
eventually.
yeah. Who knows? But yeah, it's fab. Another great game to add to the list of great games this year because we didn't need any more of those, did we?
No kidding.
So let's juxtapose that with a game that I do not care for at all. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
You can't get on PlayStation or PC.
No, it's another epic entry into the Switch 2 universe. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. No, I know what you're thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Hunter's the one that's been playing that. It's a Zelda thing. Nope.
Yeah, no, I left this off for my birthday or Christmas present.
Well, yeah, I've been playing it. I got a good deal on it, so I wasn't paying full price, and I was like, ugh. I guess I don't remember how I felt particularly about Age of Calamity, but who knows? Third time's the
Lukewarm,
charm.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's how I felt. I mean, my history with these is I really like Persona 5 Strikers. I think that is excellent. I think it's fantastic. I think it's the only Muso game where I've actually genuinely sat there and gone, good video game. I had a blast, right? Because I think it managed to do what few of these collaborations do, Hunter, where it successfully merged the two franchises together. Yes, it was very much a Muso game and it had, Warriors style combat into it, but it also very much felt like a Persona game, and it had the Persona writing, and it had,
Yeah,
the
and
style
the
and
story structure.
yeah, it had everything nailed. Whereas this game kind of feels like this franchise kind of seems like it's a wolf in sheep's clothing at times, where it very much wants to be a Zelda thing, but it very much doesn't feel like a Zelda thing. What's your feeling on Age of Imprisonment? I feel like Age of Calamity told this story where we wanted to see what happened during the first fight between Ganon. Whereas I know I was not asking for what was happening during the past in the imprisoning war. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I wasn't really asking for I know I made the joke that made this happen or whatever, but I wasn't really it wasn't genuinely like something I was chomping at the bit to see. As far as like, I wish that seeing what like as far as Zelda's story on the side of what was going down with her during Tears of the Kingdom, I would have rather that be more integrated into Tears of the Kingdom itself than this, because,
I also feel like the players involved, you have Raru and you have Sona. Is it Sona? I can't remember.
Sonya.
Yeah, Sonia, that's it. I've just been playing the video game that she is in, and I'm just, already going, oh. But yeah, so you have Raru, you have Sonia, and you have Zelda, and you have Ganon. And they're the only characters that Tears of the Kingdom really elaborates on, and you basically see all of the important scenes with these characters in those moments. The champions that are, back in the past in the Imprisoning War aren't the same as the champions in Breath of the Wild. And what I mean by that is the whole of the narrative of Breath of the Wild relies on knowing the past of these champions and, seeing their downfall and, uncorrupting the beast that they controlled. So,
Yeah.
you got to know them a lot, and so when you came to Age of Calamity, you actually did want to know these characters more and see what their relationship dynamics were like. No, I was never asking during Tears of the Kingdom, go on with the green helmet on. What's your deal? What's your life story? Please let me know.
Yeah, because they all basically served the same function, down to telling you the exact same thing every time you met one of them.
Yeah. It's a hard one. I don't think the premise is anywhere near as interesting. And I think the game it's fine. It's a Muso game. If you really like Age of Calamity, I think you'll like this game. If you are a bit of a Zelda head where you just want anything and everything to do with, Zelda, I think there are bits and pieces of lore and explanations that you'll find quite interesting. In my head, they can say that these games are canon as much as they want. I do not believe it. I do not believe that there was a construct that looked like Link and a Korok wandering around the wastelands at the exact same time. That from the bits that we've seen in the trailers, it doesn't. This one doesn't feel as supplemental. It just doesn't feel like it fits as well. It just doesn't. This
Yeah.
game does feel like fan fiction. I don't know what Nintendo of America has against Link and Zelda as a pair. I don't know what, there was a bit
I
of
don't
Tears of
get
the
it,
Kingdom
man.
where they're like, listen, guys, they share a bed and they share a house, but they are just friends. And this game is like doubling down on that, where all the writing is like, her best friend, her friend Link. And you just
Oh
sit
my
there
god.
and you
I
actually
would prefer
read,
for
you
them to
read
do
the,
the sworn knight bit than that. My
and
god.
then you read the Japanese or the European, like the French translation, and all of them are, instead they replace the friend bit with someone very special to her or someone very dear to her. Actual, I don't know what it is. Someone in the NOA localizing team. I'm just gonna blame Bill Trinton. Bill Trinton really doesn't like the Zelda
Dude, he
Link
likes
romance.
Mifa for some
Yeah,
reason.
he's
I
a
don't get
Mifa
it.
stan. He's a Mifa stan.
But honestly, at one point it does hit the level of silliness where it's like, the old anime that would have like two two women that are obviously like would obviously be together, but they'd
Yeah,
be
they're a
like, oh, they're
couple. Yeah,
roommates or they're
yeah,
cousins
yeah.
or something.
100%. That's the. It's very weird. This game, this game is written like fan fiction. It feels like fan fiction. You can tell when a character was made for Tears of the Kingdom and when a character was made for this game, because I just look at them and I laughed. The first character that I see, I laughed because I genuinely was like, they basically just made a pink Goron, and I was
Oh,
like, oh,
oh,
we're doing this, right? We're just making shit up, are we? Sorry for the
like at
language. I
least
feel
with
like I deserved that one.
an Age of Calamity, they had Suga, who was like Koga's big dual wielding
Mm-hmm.
Yiga brute, but he was like just I can believe that he had a guy like that. He was just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big Yiga that used two swords instead of the singular wind cleaver.
Yeah, but that's like this game in terms of its gameplay, it plays well. It runs at 60. Is that 60 stable? It's a Koei Tecmo game. No, of course it's not. The game the game looks pretty nice when you're playing it. It feels good to play. These characters, Zelda plays really well. There's not a single character that I've played so far where I'm sitting there going, "Oh, this plays terribly." No, it plays really well. And for the most part, when I say the frame rate dips, it's mainly like you get a couple of frames of lag, it drops into like the 40s. Like it's not Age of Calamity where the game literally became stop motion animation every time you swung your sword. So it plays better, and I think it's better on principle just from that fact alone. um, but all the cutscenes in this game, Hunter, are pre-rendered. And they're pre-rendered at 30 FPS and at like half the quality, and the the whatever codec they're using is really crunchy, so you can tell that everything's pre-rendered, and then you go to the actual gameplay,
Oh
and it's one of those few
no.
games where you go to the actual gameplay and you're like, oh wow, it looks better in the gameplay.
This is like one of those situations like, sometimes with the like PlayStation 3 HD collections and stuff where
Yeah.
like if they didn't go and retouch them up or something, some of those would look pretty bad sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's
Like I know I
exactly how this
definitely had
feels.
some cutscenes in the Devil May Cry collection where it's like, oh my god, the sound is like crunchy,
Do you know what it
and the
genuinely
video is
feels like? And
fuzzy.
it wouldn't surprise me if this is how this game started, Hunter. This genuinely feels like that they made this game for Switch 1, realized the Switch 1 couldn't hack it,
Probably.
moved it to Switch 2, and kept the cutscenes rendered the exact same. That's how
Yeah, that
that's
would
how it
make
feels to me. But
feel right because it would be kind of like the like when I played No Sleep for Kaname Date earlier this year, and I just played on the Switch version, but on the Switch 2, and it had the kind of crunchy portraits and stuff.
yeah. But that's how it feels to me. The gameplay feels fluid. There's some really fun, there's like link moves and no pun intended, but you two characters can link together and do a power up move. There's a lot of stuff where it's like it feels fun. I feel like this is a podcast game, and what I mean by this is it's like while you're watching a YouTube video, while you're sitting there, you can sit there and you can mindlessly kill some dudes, and you'll have a pretty fine enough time with it, right? It's not
Yeah,
a
or
yeah, go on.
like a chat on Discord with your buddies and mostly pay attention to your conversation, but because you can just press buttons and make things die really easily.
Yeah, 100%. But it has the exact same the exact same setup onto it. It is, you get your map screen like in Age of Calamity, icons show up, you purchase the upgrades with the icons, you go to the side quests in the exact same way. If you did not like Age of Calamity, I cannot stress this enough. There is nothing here that will convince you to like it this time round. There just isn't. It's more
Yeah.
of that. If you liked Age of Calamity, you're going to like this. If you were like me and you were a bit on the fence with Age of Calamity, you're going to sit on the fence here where I'm like, I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'll do a mission or two missions every day and probably play it over like 3 weeks. That's probably how I'll do it because I play it for an hour and I get bored.
Yeah,
And that's,
that's fair.
I think that's okay. I think there can be games that you can just hop into half an hour and go, okay, have my fill, and then leave. I think that's fine. But the narrative is doing nothing. It's absolutely doing nothing. It just it just sits there. It's not interesting. And for me personally, I was not asking for more, of this narrative. I know a lot of people are sitting there. I've seen a lot of posts on Blue Sky and Twitter about this where it's like, this might be the last we see of this universe and stuff like that. And I'm like, what a middling kind of way to go out if it is.
Yeah, like imagine like if go out on this instead of, generational classic that is Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah, it just kind of, I don't know. This to me feels like we need a yearly Zelda game, and all the other teams are busy doing other things. So I guess we're gonna get Koei Tecmo to make another Hyrule Warriors, and I think it'll scratch that itch for some people. Should you buy a Switch 2 for this game? Absolutely not. This is
No.
not one of those games to buy a Switch 2 for. This is next year's Black Friday slam dunk, $20, $30, maybe you'll have a good time with it. It just doesn't it does nothing for me. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Maybe I don't know. I think Warriors fans are just built different, Hunter. I just think they are. I don't think it doesn't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
anything
I
for
would
me.
imagine so because like yeah, if Warriors in general doesn't really do anything for me if it's not got the IP that I care about attached to it with Zelda or Persona, like yeah,
And I'll
it does
yeah,
the shtick does get old pretty quickly if I'm not sitting there being like, "Oh, yeah,
and
good
I'll be
vibes
straight,
of
and I'll
the world
genuinely
I
be
like."
I'll genuinely be straight with you. Like out of the 3 spin-off IPs that I've played of these Muso games, being Persona 5 Strikers, Fire Emblem Warriors, Three Hopes, and the Age of Calamity, Age of Imprisonment, Zelda I think is the worst.
Yeah.
I think it is the worst, and I think it's because it's styled, its combat styles and it's the way these games are structured just doesn't really fit that well with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. An open world game where you can do anything doesn't really feel good to have these really shallow level designs that you just kind of go on a map and kind of deal with. Whereas Persona feels like Persona was the one that they really tried with. It feels like, and it really shows. And Hyrule and Fire Emblem already has that mission structure of going out to an area and doing a battle and coming back, and it kind of feels like it fits better with the narrative in that kind of way. It feels more like a
Yeah.
Fire Emblem kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, and in some ways it feels like almost marrying the two things so heavily. Because like the first Hyrule Warriors, before Age of Calamity and all that, I thought was a fun idea just on the back of it being like, oh, it's like a Zelda power fantasy.
from
That's
the 3 that I've played, I think
entertaining
the
enough.
first one is the best one. I genuinely do,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's a spin-off that knows how to do it because it's got the fan service, it's got all these extra characters that you can do. It's kind of it kind of mixes and mashes together all of
Yeah, it
Zelda's
just kind of
history and just kind of
yeah, it just
lumps
kind
it
of smushes
together.
the action figures together, whereas this, Age of Calamity and Tears of the or Age of Imprisonment here are like, no, we're canonical, trust me.
Which they're not. Um,
Yeah.
like I say, I don't think that there was a construct that looked like Link that turns into an attack chopper that flies around the map all the time. I don't think that that's
You see,
a
I would have
canonical thing.
respected it more if they had just been like, okay, forget being canonical. If you want a gameplay style that has Link, let's just, man, like they did with the champions in the other game, just manufacture a reason for him to get thrown in the past too.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
who cares at that point? Come on.
Exactly. But yeah, play it or don't. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we were pretty positive. I never gave my first impressions on Pokemon. I have been playing quite a bit of Pokemon, and I'm kind of indifferent on that as well, if I'm honest with you. Um, it's been an interesting year for the Switch too. Its first year so far. Um, it's not been the best. I'll be the first person to admit. Donkey Kong Bonanza, fantastic video game. Pokemon Legends is fine, but you can play it on Switch 1 if you want. But it's like the actual Switch 2, you can only play this on Switch 2 games so far from Nintendo. It's like a batting average of 1.5 out of 3, Like it's like,
Yeah.
or maybe 2 out of 3. Half of Mario Kart World and half of this game is all right, where it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see. Maybe Metroid, bring us home, Metroid, bring us home. Don't be bad. You finally released a decent trailer, so fingers crossed. My goodness. You can do it.
That's what they needed. Mario Kart Warriors.
Oh, it writes itself, bud. It writes itself. Right.
And honestly, I could imagine that being some level of cathartic. You get an item and you just shoot a bullet bill, and suddenly you're crashing through like 100 cars.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. One day it won't. One day it won't surprise me if they just do Smash Warriors. It wouldn't surprise me.
That'd be
But
kind of cool.
yeah, we'll see. Right. That's enough of me talking. You've heard enough about me for now. I'll throw it over you, Hunter, with the Midnight Walk. You know what the first question is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, yeah, The Midnight Walk. So this is a game that's made by a studio called Moonhood, which seems to be some of the creators that made this game called Lost in Random that I played a few years ago that I enjoyed quite a bit because of its action adventure-y Tim Burton looking art style. They went and made this game here, which is, you know, got a similarly striking art style in a different kind of way because all of the like models and all the character models and stuff were like literally sculpted out of clay and then scanned in for animation. So very cool from a visual point of view that way. Kind of reminds me of how they physically made a Yarny for Unravel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd been wanting to get to this game since it came out, but it came out like a couple days before Doom earlier this year, so I just had to kick it down the road for a while. But yeah, so at a gameplay level, it's kind of like a, you know, casual puzzle stealth game in a lot of respects where most of I'm about halfway through it, I think, maybe a little under halfway through. Looks like there's 6 chapters and I'm somewhere in the third. But most of what you're doing, hiding to try and avoid the monsters that are trying to eat you, using your little commanding your little fire goblin guy that's on the cover. I think his name is Pot Boy. Um, commanding him to light some stuff up so that you can move on forward that way
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. They just gave me a gun that shoots little matches for when he gets like stolen away at one point, and so you got to light the fires yourself. And you could do that manually with matches before anyway, but now you've got a gun. It's called the Matchlock.
Hell yeah.
So that's yeah. The writing in this game is real good. The world has a very cool identity as far as what they're going for that way. Like the little town you're in the second one, you've got a bunch of these kind of amorphous blob looking guys who they call themselves nobodies, and everyone else who isn't one of them. Yeah, I know you just recoiled because of the Tetsuya Nomura of all of it, but
He's damaged my brain, dude. He's damaged my brain. I saw this is a terrible tangent, but you've mentioned Nomura, so I must go on. The little bit of Kyle that's left in me, I was like, Kyle's not here, so I've got to do the Kingdom Hearts tangent myself. But I saw someone had posted on X, the Everything app, that Haley Joel Osment is in the recording booth or something. He's like back to work, and I'm like, well, we all know he does nothing but Kingdom Hearts, so I'm like, oh god, the The doomsday clock has struck, dude. It's moved. We're
Oh
getting
yeah.
closer to Kingdom Hearts 4. Oh no. Don't worry, guys. It'll still be 2 years away at least. We don't have to be that scared, but still, it's always
Not until
concerning
after
thinking
part
that
3 of the remake.
Nomura is silently plotting away to perform more heinous crimes. Anyway, nobodies.
But yeah, so they call other people who, have legs and aren't from their area somebodies, or also as a bit of a like jab at them, they've called my character Limb Tree a couple of times. I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
Nice.
But yeah, and the game does a good enough job at outlining what your goal is generally. Like you're supposed to take your little fire guy up to the top of the mountain or whatever, and you kind of get these episodic little happenings to you on your way there. I think it's a decent enough format for the kind of game it is.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I do remember about this game, obviously, was when it came out, like, I think mid last year. I just remember it's got such a unique art style to it. I think from a
Yeah,
visual perspective, it is extremely pleasing to look
striking.
at. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
striking. It's, they've nailed the tone. And I think that's, in these kinds of games, going back to Unravel as well, just setting that tone right, you've just got that's like
It'll carry you a long
it'll
way.
carry you a long way. That's exactly what I was getting at. So, hey, anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, pick it up if you like the kind of semi spooky vibes and want something that's not too like labor intensive, I guess.
Yeah, just after after Halloween, perfect time. I was talking to a friend where he was like, "You said you were going to play Resident Evil 2 this year," and I was like, "Yeah." I said I was going to play it in October, and October has gone. So see you next October, nerds. So you know what I mean? Like that game's getting Luigi's Mansion 3, where I'm gonna remember on the 30th that I say that I all play these spooky games every year, and then Luigi's Mansion, but you know what I mean. But it's one to add to your list. Hey, some people like Hunter love their spooky stuff year round, and you know what? Fair play to you, but yeah, it's not for me. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. It's just I'm a coward, Hunter. I'm a coward. That's what it is.
A fake and a fraud.
A fake and a fraud. Right, next up, Shinobi, Art of Vengeance.
Yeah, so this is another one that just came out at an inopportune moment. I think it came out like the couple of days between Metal Gear Solid Delta and Hollow Knight.
It might be the same day. It was literally the 29th of August. It was
Yeah.
not the best date
So,
to go for, but hey ho.
but this is this is the first in Sega's whole revive a bunch of dead franchises program that they've been putting forward. And
Yeah, wouldn't it be crazy, dude? Like, hear me out. Imagine if they like made a new Persona game. Could you imagine that? Do you think Persona
yeah,
6 will qualify for
bring
this?
back that old chestnut.
Do you think Persona 6 will qualify for this program because it will have been that long between 5 and 6? Will it qualify? I think it will.
Who knows?
Uh,
Oh man.
right after Jet Set Radio. But yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it was one of those, right? Jet Set Radio was the other Crazy Taxi. I think, people have been hoping that stuff like Nights and all that other jazz will be eventually looked at again. But it's one of those. It's one of the big revitalization programs. Super Game Step Zero,
Yeah.
It's fun. I like that Sega is doing this. Whether this fruit bears at any point, like this is a good start, but also
Yeah, it's a good start as far as quality anyway. I don't know what the
yeah.
sales or anything like that is, but this game is pretty darn good.
Hell yeah.
Let me tell you. Like, I've not played the other Shinobi games from the before times because I never owned a Sega. I remember somehow we came into possession of one of the cartridges when I was a kid, and I don't know how or why, but I just remember seeing, Joe on the cartridge art and the cartridge not fitting in anything, so I was kind of upset. I was like, "Oh, that looks cool," and then it just it didn't work with the Nintendo or anything. I'm like, "Oh no."
Yeah, that's crazy. Like Sega to me, again, Sega completely skipped me in my childhood. Obviously, I barely got the PS1 in my life, and that was mainly because of the backwards compatibility of the PS2, right?
Yeah,
But then I found out like not too long ago, like 5 years ago or something like that, that my dad had a Sega Mega Drive. Um, when he, before I was born, obviously. Um, but he was like, yeah, and it's still in the loft somewhere. I did go into the loft and I did find the box, so it is still there. It's still living. It's
oh
still
nice.
kicking. I haven't got it out and played it because, as you know, Hunter, I hate old games. They are cringe. They are terrible. You'll never catch me playing them, except for Crash 2, greatest game ever made. But other than that one, uh, no. I've never had the. I don't know. I respect Sega a hell of a lot, and I think they have a lot of IPs that people really care about. And it's just, because I didn't grow up with any of them, even Sonic. It's just like it's kind of like I've Matrix dodged every single Sega bullet that could potentially come near me in my life. And I don't know,
Yeah,
until the Atlas one hit
honestly,
me, and then I became rabid like an idiot. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, Shinobi Art of Vengeance, as far as what it actually is like a it's like a 2D action platformer, stage based, but there's a lot of Metroidvania in the level design where there's a bunch of hidden stuff you could go and find. There's a bunch of corners that loop back into other parts of it. It lets you fast travel between stuff as you move along. So if you like decide that you want to go check for part of it, uh, you can go do that at your leisure. As far as while you're still in the stage,
Hmm.
and they're not hiding things like a bunch of jerks, I wouldn't say. Like I found about half of the stuff not even really trying. So I've not felt kneecapped because I didn't find the other half or anything like that. It's very much a approach it at whatever level you want to kind of game in that regard.
Oh yeah.
And then the way combat and stuff feels is really nice. You've got your typical light attack, heavy attack thing, and then along with that you've got, your little kunai throw you can do with after that they give you these I forget what the name for these ones is, but one of them's a special move where basically you hold L1 and then each of the face buttons can eventually be assigned with like some kind of elemental magic.
Hmm.
Where the first thing they give you is like a typical fireball. I got one that's like a lightning rush and a aerial one that's like a wind slash kind of deal. And they all have different utilities for like setting people up to get rid of their armor or set them up for executions, which is basically you hit someone enough with like a heavy attack and it stuns them or puts them in a state where you can hit L1 and R1 and you do like fancy that's like in the trailers, it's like the red and black silhouette thing,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which gives you like which will give you bonuses as far as extra money or health if you need it, that kind of thing. So, you know, and I think it's just a very gratifying system they've got there as far as like the heavy attacks feel real good. Like it's the standard ones, just this 1-2 slash, but the like feedback on it's just real nice. Where half the time I've ended up spiking the enemies into like bottomless pits or something instead of being able to execute them, but I'm not even mad because just the visual and feeling of doing it's just very gratifying.
Hmm.
And then like the quick attacks and stuff like that. You've got moves that you can buy as you go to, extra combos and whatnot. I find it all to be very gratifying. I'm really enjoying this game so far.
I feel like this kind of game lives and dies by just how satisfying the combat is, It's like I feel like with a lot of 2D kind of action platformers like this, even, Metroidvanias that are in the same, kind of style, I feel like it lives or dies by how fun it is. And I feel like, these are the kind of games that don't really age. If they're done really well, they don't really like, you can still play a good
Yeah.
Streets of Rage game. You can still play, the Castlevania games where it's like, if it
Yeah, you can
plays
still play
well, you
Symphony
can
of the
still
Night.
play you can still play it, And I feel like this was such a, you know, not to say it was an easy slam dunk, but it's such a slam dunk to just have an IP like this that you bring back and you do such a satisfying job of bringing it back. Like that's, all fans can ask for from this is, can you capture what makes this franchise good and does it play well? Yes. Cool. You've nailed it.
Yeah. And like as far as like the art style is really good too. This is a
Mhm.
very nice game to look at. The way they present things just in the level design even is a lot of fun. Like one of the levels I did earlier today was this like lantern festival kind of thing where you're running across the rooftops and stuff, and eventually basically these lanterns are like giant parade floats of like, the dragons and dinosaur looking things and all that.
Mhm.
Very good at presenting itself through the level backgrounds, I think.
Hell yeah. So I assume you recommend it.
Yeah, I sure do. Man, we gotta pencil in one of the gag award categories for the HGAs to be best ninja game because there've been a lot of them this year.
It's definitely been a feudal year for video games, It's
Yeah,
too many to count. Legitimately, too many to count.
two Ninja Gaidens this year.
Two Ninja Gaidens. You've got, feudal Japan games in terms of Assassin's Creed has got, one of the main characters is a ninja. You've got I don't know,
Ghost of
Ghost of
Yotei.
Yotei. You've got this. What's Shinobi? You've got so many games. There's too many. Too many games. But hey. It's weird how everything comes at once, you know what I mean? Everything just comes at once.
It's like in 2021 we had all those time loop games.
If only one of them was good. Imagine. We
Yeah,
maybe.
Returnal was good.
Oh, true. Yeah, Returnal's good. Okay, I forgot about Returnal. I was just thinking of like 12 minutes and
Yeah, I know you went to 12 minutes in Deathloop first
Deathloop,
there,
the bad
but
ones. Yeah, okay. My apologies for the ones that left a bitter taste. My apologies. Okay. But hey ho. Right, let's wrap this up. Talk about Keeper. Um, Again, this is a hard game to talk about. Really. You don't want to say too much about it. Keeper is the new game by Double Fine Productions. If you are new to this podcast, then you will not be aware that I'm a big Double Fine fan. I love the old Tim Schafer games. I found Double Fine through Broken Age, through their Kickstarter campaign that kind of broke the internet back in like 2012, I think. And then I played Broken Age. I really loved Broken Age. And then as Double Fine re-released all of Tim's classics like Day of the Tentacle, Grim Fandango, all that jazz. I really enjoyed them. I just kept playing them, and I'm like, the writing is so darn good. I just kept playing them. Played Psychonauts 2. Absolutely adore Psychonauts 1 and 2. I think they're both fantastic, Costume Quest is great. Stacking is fantastic. The only ones that I haven't really played is I've never played Brutal Legend, unfortunately. I feel like it's a game. I'm not a huge tactics guy, but I love the idea of it, and I love the art style and all of that jazz. I think it's rad.
yeah.
And then I've never really played many of the Lee Petty games. So I've played Stacking, but I haven't played Rad, and I haven't played Headlander, which are the other two. But I like Double Fine. I like Double Fine a lot. I love the documentaries that they've made and all that jazz. I think wonderful studio. I think the industry's a better place because of Double Fine. I think it's one of those studios which I think is really special. And they've made Keeper, which is another Lee Petty game, smaller project where you play as a sentient lighthouse with a bird on top, and that's all you really need to know as you walk about. It's a journey-ish game, You walk around, it's about the journey, not necessarily the destination. You walk around this weird world and things get weirder quite quickly.
When I started up the Midnight Walk earlier this week, it made me think of Keeper, just kind of in a similar, just as far as them both being vibe-based puzzle games.
Yeah, 100%. So this game's only out on Xbox and PC currently, unfortunately. I actually not gonna tell you a lie. I actually booted up my Xbox Series X and played it on the Xbox Series X. Why, I hear you ask, Hunter, and that's because when the game came out, Pokemon was out on the Friday and Keeper was out. I think they might have both been out on the same day. Can't remember. I think they might have been both on the same day.
I think Keeper was the next day.
Was it? There you go. Whatever it was. Um, I was like, oh, okay, I want to play Keeper. Want to play Keeper. Go on PC, Xbox Store. It's a pile of garbage. It doesn't work. Keeper's not showing up. Can't download it. Go on to the Xbox Series X. It's there, available for me to download on Game Pass. I'm like, great. I'm not going to sit here faffing around trying to get the Xbox Store to give me the game that I also can play there. I'll just play it on Xbox, which I did. Which, it plays fine. It's at 30 FPS and all that jazz, but with this kind of game, who cares? You're walking around, you're just
Yeah.
seeing the sights. Who gives a monkeys what the frame rate is? And to be honest, I did boot it on PC to see how it looked. Does it look better? Yes. It also is a really demanding video game. It's not well optimized at all, so you might be better off playing it on
Oh,
consoles.
yikes.
But it's a very pretty game, and it's a very experimental video game. You walk around as a lighthouse, you've got very basic controls, you can shine the light onto different things, you can, you know, interact with the world in various ways, and it's very light puzzle solving. There's not a single word of dialogue in it. You just kind of walk around, explore the world, things get weirder. And it's very experimental. The soundtrack, I think it will be very hit and miss to people because I feel like these games like Journey and Sword of the Sea, they have these kind of ethereal soundtracks, right? Where they just kind of they
Yeah.
melt into the game. They are the game, in a way where it's just like you don't ever think of the soundtrack. It is it just embraces you. It just kind of
I know what you mean.
engulfs you
It's
into the
funny how the
game.
reverse of that works, where there have been plenty of times where I'll get like hear a Journey song out of context or something, and then be like, "Whoa, desert."
Yeah, 100%. This game is not like this. The music is oftentimes very alien. It's very weird. It can get very loud, and very industrial at times. And I feel like some people are not gonna like that. I personally was like, I actually kind of vibe with this a lot. I think the soundtrack's pretty cool. I can't speak too much about this game because it's not very long. It's about 3 or 4 hours long. And I feel like saying anything, it's not a game that's full of spoilers, but mentioning anything about the game and where it goes is a spoiler because the journey is the point, right? The journey is the point
Yeah,
of this game. There will be moments where gameplay changes. There'll be moments, for example, where your light no longer works and you have to interact with the world in different ways like that. There'll be times where you're stuck in a place and you've got to use environmental puzzles to escape. Very basic puzzles. There's nothing here where this isn't a portal where you're going to get 75% of the way through and go, oh, this is actually a head scratcher here. You're literally just gonna you're gonna the first thought in your head will be the solution most of the time. But it's good. I liked it. It's very short, and I think so you're gonna like the ending or you're not gonna like the ending. And I was a bit 50-50 on it, where I was like, okay, it I enjoyed my time with it, and I'd recommend if you are into these kinds of games for you to pick it up eventually. I think if you have Game Pass, I think this is one of the few benefits of these kinds of subscriptions with Xbox, where it's like, hey, if you're already paying for it anyway, you've got no excuse not to. You just don't, right? Are you gonna buy Game Pass
yeah.
for this? No, it'd be cheaper to buy this. But if you've got Game Pass, like I've still got Game Pass for now, um, it's a no-brainer to pick it up, and hopefully it comes to PlayStation at some point. I think it will.
I expect it will in like the next year.
I assume that the reason that I don't think this is a strategic play from Xbox. I think this is genuinely just the team at Double Fine that has been making this. It's not the whole of Double Fine that made this. It's a very small team, so I assume that this game has been in development for quite a while, and they started this before the mandate of Xbox games going everywhere, and their studio is probably small enough that they didn't have the bandwidth to make a ton of ports to other places straight away. That's
Yeah,
probably
and
my
if you were
guess.
talking about it, optimization being slight issue there, then, not having it ready to go for another platform makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know how you get this to run on Switch 2, if I'm honest with you, with the way it's performing on, other hardware. It might be a bit of a challenge. But it's a very beautiful game. It's a very, interesting game. And I love when Double Fine does weird stuff. I like that. I hope they continue to make stuff like this. It's really hard with the way Xbox is to not be doom and gloom about Double Fine.
Yeah, it is.
Because this game will have not
Definitely.
made its money back. I can just tell you that right now, that 90% of people will have played this game on Game Pass, and that number will already be pretty small. I also think, personally, and this is coming from a Double Fine fan, I think the asking price that they went for with this game is a bit high for how long the game is. It's
What is it, like 30?
I think it might be. Yeah, $30. Which, in my opinion, is a bit steep for a 3-hour game, essentially. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Is it really well made? Yes. Is it beautiful? Yes. But it's a hard ask to go, hey, do you want a journey-like game for $30 that's about 3 hours? It's a hard sell.
We had the same conversation when Sword of the Sea was out a few months ago.
And I said the exact same thing there, where it's like, I'm happy that it
Yeah.
was on PS Plus Extra and I got to play it there. Would I have paid $30 for that? No. It's a great experience, and when it's on sale, 100%. But hey, we'll see what the future for Double Fine looks like. I hope it's positive, because I do love me some Double Fine. But like I say, Hunter, I think it's like best case scenario if Xbox is trying to put some fact that they let them Toys for Bob and just buy themselves back out is what my hope would be.
Or if they get shut, I think they would just reassemble
Triple
with a
Fine.
legally distinct name. Yeah.
Triple Fine. The 3-headed baby instead of the 2-headed baby. But yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A bunch of first impressions. You're probably sick of hearing me talk, at least. I apologize for that. This is like one of the rare times, Hunter, where I've played a lot of the new stuff. Like, this is like one of those weird. Usually,
Yeah.
it's the other way around.
Unbeatable getting delayed really threw a wrench into what I was gonna do this week.
100%. But hey, we made it work. I think it worked out well, regardless. Let us know what you guys have been playing. We'd love to hear from it. We're getting, links on screen right now. We're getting to, that point. It's near the end of the year now. We're getting there. There's a couple of things still trickling out. Kirby Air Riders, Black Ops 7, all the classics, Metroid Prime, all the classics. There's still a couple of things sprinkled throughout the rest of the year, but we're getting there, dude. We're getting to that Game of the Year season.
Yeah. I got a couple of things that I'd like to get done before the end of the year, just as far as Shinobi is one of them.
It's weird. I've done like a lot of the stuff that's in my backlog at the moment. Like for games this year, I've done pretty, not to pat myself on the back too much, I've done a pretty good job of usually we get to the end of the year and it's like there's like 6 or 7 games that I just didn't have a chance to play. But this year, I feel like the beauty of 2025 is, in a way, there's been less games, but there's constantly been good. So it's like I've been able to keep up for the most part, where there's fewer games, but each one I felt like I needed to play.
Yeah. For me,
except for the Switch too.
Feeling like for me, I was feeling pretty good about playing what I had been up to that point, and then having enough time to get everything I missed done before the end of the year until September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then everything went belly up. Hollow Knight came out, and then Hades came out.
Yeah, totally. But hey, next week, ladies and gentlemen, who knows? Who knows what we got in store? Surprises are in store next week. You'll have to find out. You have to tune in. Same time, same place next week for that. But hey, we'll leave it there for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back, same time, same place, next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.